Hello, everybody, and welcome to a new episode of Brace for Impact. What episode number are we on? I do not remember.
13, I think. I think
13?
it's 13.
I feel like I should check because I'm the one who
We
has
we
all of the
we did
numbers.
all our prep work.
This would be
No,
episode
15.
episode
15.
15. Episode 15. All the prep work goes to nothing because paying attention is hard. Um oh my goodness, what a packed 2 weeks this last has been. I mean, it's been busy. It has been very busy. Very, very, very busy.
Yeah, we've been very busy. We've been
Yes.
cooking, Parks. We've been cooking,
We we
okay?
we put stuff on simmer. We let
Oh,
it
yeah.
put it
Oh,
in the
yeah.
crock pot, let it
Definitely look
rest for
for
a
it
few
soon,
hours.
y'all. Definitely look for it soon. But, no, there is a ton that happened. Obviously, it was the Easter weekend. So I'm actually a little out of the loop with, like, some of the results, at least for the cash cups, because it's like once Easter comes, like, obviously it's family time, right?
Yeah.
So I try to make a note to spend it with the family and whatnot. So I took that weekend off of everything. But nonetheless, we had a lot of interesting results and some independent stuff. I mean, we also had the Asia Pacific qualifier. So where would you like to start, Parks?
Well, you mentioned family. I think we should go a little bit chronologically here. I think starting with the cash cups and kind of quickly pushing through them, then we'll get to the really beefy stuff.
Mhm.
I think that's a good way to go.
Okay.
And what better way to start than with the teams that never die in Oceania?
Newton Shreds. The
Yeah.
moment you said that, I'm not even looking at the page.
You
I'm like,
know.
it's Newton Shreds,
Yeah,
right?
for
Yeah.
sure. So it is
And
another
well
victory.
well on them, by the way.
Yeah, it is a victory for Newt coming in again. They won 2-0, 16-11 on Vertigo, 16-9 on Mirage. They continue their way forward.
Yeah, that's
Um,
5 straight, by the way, for them now.
yeah, of course it's gonna be five, like
No, I'm sorry, 4 straight.
four straight.
Beg your pardon,
There you go.
4 straight.
And I mean, what else is there to say? Their continued grind is amazing. I'm so
Yeah.
happy that they're still going. Um, it shows the fortitude that these players have to just say like, it's a few hours from my day, but it's something that just shows we still care, and that's what, that's enough for me at the end of the day. Um, almost want to give them, I almost want to give them like logos and stuff to use at this point because
They
like,
they they could come up with their own, trust
oh,
me.
they could definitely pull something
You
together.
already know Newton's gonna have Pingu as the
Oh
logo. It's
yeah,
just a giant
100%.
Pingu
It's gonna
face,
be,
like
yeah, the stylized Pingu just going
Yep,
newt newt. Treads would
yep.
probably be like a tire or something with
I whenever I do that cash cup, which I didn't this weekend, obviously, 'cause of Easter, but I do have that sound cue, like, ready to go. The moment they win a map, when we go to break before the music cuts in, you just hear the "doot, doot." That's
Amazing.
it.
Well, speaking of tournaments that have two teams in them, I'm just gonna double check that there was only two coming in. Oh, there was four. Sorry, three. There was
4?
three
Oh,
for
for South
South
Africa.
Africa. Yep. I'm
Time
just
for
quickly checking
Africa.
who extra is. I don't know. So yeah,
I think it's like a bunch of former players
yeah, it's a
put
bunch of
together.
former players just kind of having fun with it.
Avocado is probably and Lady Purr probably the 2 big names on that team. Cal's Cheesy and Sinner the other 3.
Yeah,
But, yeah, they joined in for the Cash Cup, so
had a good time with it. It is White Rabbit Amarales going up against Vibin though in the final, and Vibin they win 2-1 this time, so a little bit of a switch up because I know in the last few, it
it's
has
got
been
White
going away.
Rabbit.
It has been White Rabbit quite a few times. So nice to see the switch up there that Vibin were able to get a win. Shows they're still competitive between the two of them. It's amazing.
Yeah,
Absolutely love that.
and it's their first Cash Cup since Vibin, at least. It's their first Cash Cup since, November 26th.
Wow.
So it's been a while,
Yeah.
for them. ATK dominated, really, and then unfortunately, we lost that team with everything going on, so it's down really right now to White Rabbit, Amaryllis, and Vibin. But you always get a good series between the 2,
For
usually.
sure.
And we kinda got a good map 1 wasn't good, but we got a good series overall with the other 2 maps, so of course, Newt commentated that one, the absolute GOAT that's down there in South Africa.
Yeah, for sure. And I mean,
Yeah.
those are always good streams to check out. Very,
Oh, definitely.
very, very good. Like he can hold on to like a bit for quite a while and just run with it for, forever.
Oh, yeah.
Speaking of down under though, we're gonna continue kind of across the equator here, going into South America now, one of the big three.
Yes.
Um, four teams at least on the Liquipedia page. I don't know how many actually signed up. I'm gonna hit the bracket real quick. Yeah, just four.
Just 4.
Just four. I mean, a big part of that is because of
It's Easter weekend.
the Easter
I mean,
weekend, yeah. Um, and so it is MIBR taking the win on that. They didn't really have any strong competition to go up against. It was mostly a lot of just kind of pug teams that were coming around. The only notable person I see there is Inflix, who was on Endgame. Otherwise,
Okay,
everybody,
yeah. Who played on Capivara's Gay?
yeah.
Yeah.
So that's the only player I
Uh,
see.
there's Gatti and Vissus on that team as well. This is going to be a little foreshadowing for you all. We'll get into them later.
Amazing, love that. So that
The
yeah,
other one, by the way, just real quick. Ledigu is been in the scene for quite a while actually, and 11 is a pretty good player
yep,
on Maiden Pug actually. And of course, shout out to Bittner, who is the coach for that Maiden Pug team. Great, awesome guy.
yeah,
Absolutely awesome guy who does work a lot in the South American scene with these pug teams. So definitely give him a follow. You'll see him in the chat all the time for the ESL streams as well. Really, really, really good dude. So shout out to Bittner. But then real quick on the Mooncat side, Nataluxa, Moonzina, you. These are some decent players. Mooncats have been around pugging it out for a while, so made a good series in the semifinal actually. But
right.
MIPR are pretty strong.
Yeah,
So
I mean, considering it was a 16-2, 16-3 in the finals, like they rolled over Maiden Pug in
yeah,
that
yeah,
scenario.
that was always the expectation going
Of
into. So.
course. We're gonna head north a bit here now, going to North America. I believe 9 teams signed up again. Yep, 9 teams.
This actually shocked me because I thought we weren't going to get a lot with the Easter weekend,
Yeah,
and we got like one of the deepest fields.
yeah, it's been
I guess because
consistent.
everybody was off for the
Yeah,
weekend, right? So
and it's been pretty consistent in the last few weeks of getting 8 or 9 teams kind of coming through. Detonate went up against. It's so funny these qualifier when you get towards the semifinals, you kind of know where it's gonna go. Not just by based on where the teams are, but like you kind of guess the seeding before everything starts, and it kind of comes
yeah,
true. It was Detonate Sparks going up against Team Factor Ruby. Sparks of course end up winning that one. Shimmer versus Saints. Shimmer win. Getting
that was
into
a close
the
semifinal though. That was a
yes,
pretty close semifinal.
16-13, 16-10 for Shimmer against that. And then on the other side, it was a 16-5, 16-8. It wasn't much to write home about for Team Factor Ruby. In the grand finals, Sparks did end up losing, but it was a 3-mapper. It was Mirage, Overpass, Inferno, and Shimmer won Mirage and Inferno, and Overpass went the way of Detonate Sparks. So that was pretty good as well to rock through.
Yep. And then there's one more, and it's the big
Yeah,
dogs.
the big dogs themselves, Europe. I am gonna check how many teams signed up because they don't
11.
really have 11 teams. So there you go. So
11.
pretty on par with where they've been the last few weeks. I mean, I don't
A
know if
little
they
bit
have.
lighter. A little bit lighter,
Yeah,
but
I don't think they have Easter over there. No, they do have Easter.
yeah,
Sorry,
they
it is
do. But
Thanksgiving, but
yeah, they so Europe's odd, not because it's Europe, but because it's so obviously like people in France and Germany and England and Scotland and all that, they're gonna take Easter like on I don't want to on the non-Orthodox weekend, which for me was last weekend,
right,
or the weekend prior, the weekend these cash ups happened. But Anna just said like Happy Easter Sunday that just passed, which was
right,
yesterday, the 16th, right? So, and she is Romanian, if I remember correctly, and they have like the Orthodox Easter is never it's usually not the same weekend. I
right.
actually used to date somebody who was absolutely crazy, but that's completely
Yes,
irrelevant
that's
to the
completely
conversation.
irrelevant. Come on.
But she was Orthodox, and the Easters never matched up. So like she would
Right.
come to mine for my Easter, and then I would go to hers for her Easter. And then the one year we dated, they actually lined up on the same day.
Oh, amazing.
I was like, oh,
This
nice. I had to
is.
pick which one, so of course I picked going. Of course I picked going to hers.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, usually they're not on the same weekend. Anyway,
Yeah, so I mean the notable names coming in to play this one, NIP, BP were there, and then I think 55 Power is also an organization as far as I can tell from their logo, and maybe East Legends, but when everything kind of came down to it, BP didn't make it out of the quarters, and Nip went on to win it all in the grand finals.
Yeah,
In
Mixon though has some names, on
Yeah,
there.
you know what? Actually, I completely forgot to talk about them. Mixon, Hikomi, Makiri, Pew, and then two players from Spirit in Tenka and Jemmy. So
Yeah,
pretty cool from them. I don't see. Yeah, there's not. Magix was coaching Yayo. He's the coach for Team Spirit. Other than that, there wasn't any really big names that were kind of stepping up from playing with their organizations as they usually do. And I mean, that was a
yeah,
close grand finals. It was 16-13 on Inferno and a 19-15, but NIP, of course, taking the 2-0 on that. Um, and you kind of, after all that, that's all the cash cups kind of done and dusted.
yeah. One thing I do want to point out about this one though is just keep an eye on this Yayo side that has Miyu, Mama, and Patya. So
Yeah.
Patya, way back in the day, I think had a spell where she was on No Fear 5. And this was pre-impact scene, right?
Yeah.
But she played on No Fear 5 when they were playing in the ambush seasonal cups and was always finishing second. I think it was basically they had Fatal on the team, and I don't know if they dropped Fatal or Fatal went off to do something like with her own life in terms of work or something. I can't remember.
Yeah.
But they picked up Patya, and it was a very good team. And this team, Yayo, has first off, they've won a cash cup and they've won a few of the fast cash or the fast cup female competitions, the Sakura Cups.
Yeah.
So obviously 11 teams here, they get to a semifinal. They gave NIP a pretty good run for their money. And NIP are not a team to snuff at all. Like it's a very good team. So I'm looking forward to this Yayo side come season 4 if they can make the season 4 because I'm looking at it going, they're definitely one to keep an eye on right
For
now.
sure. So that's like I said, that's all the cash cups. And now we can really get into the meat of of what we got for
The meat and potatoes.
meat and potatoes. This past weekend was the playoffs and qualifiers
Oh, okay.
for Dallas.
Oh, okay. Yeah, yeah. You mentioned the
Sorry,
qualifier. You said playoffs first, and I'm like, and then you said and qualifier, and I was like,
there it is. Yes. So just before we get into the qualifier, though, we do have the final few weeks of the main
oh
seasons here to
yes,
kind
oh
of
yes.
tie in. We had the final 2 weeks come through, and what it comes down to is
You didn't have it pulled up either.
I did not have it pulled up. I was not ready.
I
Um,
wasn't. I wasn't ready.
I was close. I was close. Um, where do you want to start? We got 3 regions to go through, and then the
Start
qualifiers.
in. Let's start in North America. Go to Europe, and then we'll go to South America.
Sounds good. All right. So North America, by this point, had already actually been decided.
Yes,
It was
this
already
was the
kind of
one that
set in
was. Yeah.
stone. It was set in stone that Detonate and EG were going to be the top two on their side of Group B, and it was going to be CLG Red and Shimmer on the other side in Group A. So not necessarily dead rubbers for some of these teams, but like for the top two, they kind of knew what they were already
Oh
going
yeah,
with.
in terms of making playoffs or not
It
making
was already
playoffs, it
over.
was yeah. But in terms of final place, it wasn't. Yeah,
Yeah.
you're spot on.
So Detonate 2-0'd Star, and that was 16-7, 16-6. EG in that same week, this is week 5, 2-0'd Team Factor Ruby, 16-4, 16-5. And then week 6 comes in, Detonate Sparks, 2-0'd Team Factor Ruby, 16-12, 16-8. Very good show, much better showing there from
Yeah, pretty
the
good showing from Team Factor Ruby actually. Did they play Anubis in that one as well?
no.
No,
They
they
played
didn't.
Overpass and
Okay.
Inferno.
Yeah.
Um, and then EG Gold go on to play Starfish, and that was 16-4, 16-6. And that was actually, I believe, the last match that we casted.
Yes, it was.
So
It was actually.
special
So
shout out. We actually finally got a monitor check that came up positive.
yeah, right at the
Right at the
very end.
very end,
The
we did a
last
check.
monitor check of
We
the
did a
season.
check. We did a
That
check,
was
and we're like,
clutch.
oh my god. um, so that was cool. And on the other side, week 5, an interesting matchup there between CLG Red and Shimmer. We know that Shimmer around first time around actually did take a map off of CLG Red. They came close this time as well, 16-7 and a 19-17. They brought it all the way
Yeah.
back on Inferno and just was not, unfortunately enough. They
That was a
conceded.
really good comeback too.
Yeah, it was a
That was a
very
very
good
good
comeback.
comeback. So.
The other matchup that was going on at the same time, Saints versus Bite, 16-6, 16-4 for Saints. Kind of the same thing we expected. And then the last matchup was CLG Red versus Byte, 16-4, 16-6 again for CLG Red. And Shimmer going up against Saints. It was a close one again, but 16-14 on Anubis and 16-10 on Overpass for Shimmer to complete the 2-0. Again, that put us in the 4 teams going in towards the playoffs. Do we want to move on and
Yeah.
do playoffs immediately, or
Whatever you want, brother.
I think it makes sense to kind of go through everything
Let's go
region
through
by
it.
region.
All right, let's go through it.
Yeah, so we get to the playoffs, and all done in one day, of course.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it's
It didn't start interesting, but it finished
it
interestingly.
finished interesting, that's for sure. So yeah, it was CLG Red going up against Evil Geniuses Gold, and that overpass is rough. There's something about
Yeah,
CLG
it
Red
is.
going up against EG. They just know.
I just don't think EG are very good on overpass. I think,
Yeah,
and people keep telling me, "Oh, they play it. Oh, they know it." Last time I seen him good on overpass was pre the Winterland, pre the season 2 finals.
yep,
Because remember they they over in the summer they took CLG to overtime on. I'm like, oh my god, this team's getting really good.
yeah,
And then, or sorry, that was Ancient actually. I'm sorry, but no, they did. They took them to overtime as well, and they lost in
yep.
overtime to CLG. So I'm like, oh my god, this team's getting really good. And then they go to season 2 finals, and it's like,
Wah, wah.
what the hell is this overpass?
Yeah,
And now they pick it because they play it, but they just get smoked
they
on it
they
every
don't play
time.
it
And
well
it's
enough,
like,
unfortunately.
no, they don't. They're not even remotely close.
Yeah, so 16-11 on Ancient, 16-4 on Overpass. That locks in XCLG Red into a spot into Dallas, which we kind of expected, considering where the 1A was to face the 2B. I don't know what they're gonna go for when it comes to when they actually get there. I mean, Gooseberry kind of teased on the stream at the end of that they're in talks with orgs, and it's very early. It's too early to tell anything, but there's still plenty of time before Dallas, and there could be something coming down the pipe in terms of them joining a team, and it could be the same thing that happened last year with Please Send Help, because Please Send Help at the LAN had actually already received some of their EG stuff. They weren't supposed to wear it, but they kind of brought those backpacks around apparently, so people kind of knew that they were going to EG. It was a very interesting situation. Um, yeah, one of those interesting little things of like, oh yeah, we're getting signed, and they've given us these cool backpacks to use, and everyone's like, but we haven't done anything yet, and everyone's like, oh, but we the backpacks, one of those usual
Still,
things.
I don't. I just okay. Like
there a lot of
way to
thinking,
spoil it.
a
Way to
lot of thinking went into that, and then people just were
No
like,
thinking went into that apparently
no,
because they
a
wore the
lot of thinking
backpacks
on
around.
a lot of the thinking on the EG side was, oh, we're gonna get them hooked early on with our stuff, and they're gonna be cool and wear it,
That's true.
and
Yeah,
then the
and
players went, but what if we just wore it
cool.
now? Yeah, always funny in NA. The other so then that left us with one series left to go. This
Yep.
was gonna be the closest series of them all. We knew that rocking into this. We've seen it week over week over week in the Cash Cups. It was Shimmer going up against Detonating Sparks, and oh boy, what a series. Truly a very good one. If you bleep out the middle map, and just don't look at it for the 30 minutes it was on screen. Um,
This broke my heart, man, because I
it
really wanted that date to go to
yeah,
LAN.
and I mean the map picks coming in complete 180 from everything we've seen leading up to this. Leading up to this, Overpass, Inferno, Mirage. Mirage,
Yeah.
Overpass, Inferno, Mirage, Overpass. Like it's always a different combination. They played them 4 times before this series
Yeah.
in Cash Cups and other
Yeah,
stuff.
and I think Shimmer swept it all.
Yeah, so Shimmer won every single one.
Yep.
And then we
But they
get
were close. They
they
weren't
were
like
there. It was always
they were
close.
pretty competitive series,
It
yeah.
was always close. Coming into the series though, the map picks come through. Anubis,
Yep.
Nuke,
Yep.
Ancient.
Yep.
There
And
is one map that never got played between these two, and it is Vertigo.
wow. And honestly, Nuke should probably join Vertigo after this display. But I don't blame him for going for it or mixing up the map pool, right?
Yeah,
I think when you're a team that's lost 4-0 and then the stakes are higher, you obviously have to do something to go for it, right? So I don't blame them at all for deciding to try and veto different. It reminds me almost of what um B4 did at Masters Femenina 6.
Yeah.
So B4 and Furia haven't played Ancient. They don't touch a single game of Ancient, right? So neither of them played Ancient. And what happens is the map veto was always something like Ancient, or no, sorry, not Ancient. Mirage, like Vertigo, Overpass, Mirage, Vertigo, over something like that, right?
Yeah.
And they eventually they get, I think, the Vertigo, and I think they played the Mirage, and then no, they both leave they both leave Ancient into the second round of banning because neither one of them wants to ban it because they know they don't, they don't play it, blah 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 blah
Yeah.
blah. And B4 comes in and just says, "We'll take you on to Ancient," actually, because they got the last ban.
Yeah.
And everyone's like, "Oh my god, they're playing Ancient. This is a," and then B4, it was a really close game, but B4 beat them and win Masters Femenina with, and that's Olga Fury as well.
Yeah.
Olga and Mari was still in the team.
Yeah.
So it's one of the things. So like the angle of doing that for this series, because I'm like, it would have favored Detonate, right? Like I would have said that would have been a good move for Detonate.
For sure.
But I think, I mean, instead of doing that with one map, they just did it with the entire map pool instead. So it was like, I was like, oh wow, we're playing. Like I was shocked. I wasn't shocked to see Ancient come in,
Yeah.
but I was shocked to see Nuke there.
Nuke
I
was
was
a
like,
big one
whoa,
for
Nuke.
me. Yeah, Nuke. I agree
Yeah,
on that, and I think we were kind of justified on that. So the scoreline comes through 16-9 on Anubis for Detonate Sparks. They're looking good towards the start, and then a 16-1 rout for Shimmer. And you know what? Credit to Sparks for trying to come back on that third map and really making a big effort of it.
and then
16
they
12.
did.
Yeah, and then they
Yeah,
did. They started really gaining rounds, and it just kind of never went anywhere. So 16-12 on Ancient for Shimmer, and that gives Shimmer the other spot towards land. So Detonate Sparks don't make it, and EG don't make it. The two signed teams, signed teams, I guess you could say, don't make it, and it leaves it to CLG Red and Shimmer now to represent NA at Dallas.
yeah, that's a shame. It's, I need my Lavoski bear hug, man. I'm not gonna get it. I'm kind of
We'll
sad.
try and convince him to come down regardless. We'll try. We'll try.
Be a good show. Impact's gonna be a good show at
Yeah,
Dallas,
I
man.
think it is going to be a good show.
It is gonna be a great show. I'm still of the idea that CLG need to roll with Dancing on My Own.
Amazing.
I'm just gonna push that narrative. I'm gonna
Keep
force
keep
meme that
pushing it.
narrative
You
all
can
day.
keep pushing it.
No. But yeah, I think no surprise with XCLG. No surprise they absolutely wiped the floor with EG either. And I'm just gutted that Detonate didn't win because I did kind of want them. I mean, I like the team Shimmer. I like who's on this
Yeah.
team. It's just I've spoken very highly of Vanessa and Abby on this podcast previously, right? And I
Yeah.
still think
No,
very highly
exactly.
of them. But it's the fact that, yeah, I really like what Detonate as an org. I think they're really
Yes.
doing a lot of things right in CS, outside of Impact, inside of Impact. I mean, the effort that they're putting in is something that,
We don't see
specifically
it.
to call them out, EG could do better. Like
Oh,
EG could totally
100%.
look at Detonate, and it's like, that's, if you're looking at EG social media, that's not how you do it.
No.
Just throw it out the window, man. Like, but the way Detonate done it is excellent, and I think EG have a lot to learn from that. But
Will they? No.
uh, no,
No.
absolutely not. They still haven't learned that they've lost the touch on Overpass. But still, it's it is. I was gutted for Detonate and for Levalsky as well, and for the girls, because like some of them have been in the scene for a while, like Kyo and Bouchard, and I'm like, y'all deserve to go to one land. You
Yeah.
know, you knew that all the
That would
effort
that
over
would
the
be
years
huge.
given to the scene. Yeah, Sapphire as well on that side. So,
Gutting.
but yeah, that's North America wrapped up.
That's North America wrapped up, and I mean, we still have general news on all that kind of stuff coming forward.
Oh
So
yes, we gotta go.
yeah, we got stuff going down the pipeline
Yeah,
still,
we'll get it
but
all
we'll
in,
get
don't
back.
worry.
We'll get back. Coming into week 5 matches then. In Europe, we'll start with Group A. Astralis going up against Aces. Aces take that one, I'd say,
Yeah,
kind of comfortably 2-0 on that. Very cool to see
yeah.
from them. Um, and then Nip taking a 2-0 on Spirit. We saw that
Remind me to
coming.
talk about Astralis and the rumor mill, by the way.
Okay, we will
Right?
for sure. Um, and then yeah, so Nip going up against Spirit, and Spirit played this one close. It was a 16-14, 19-16 for Nip. But Spirit again, Spirit brought it close, and you know what? That might be a bit of foreshadowing because we come into the week 6 matches, and Enigma Galaxy go up against Astralis at 16-6, 16-10, no issue there. Aces beat Spirit
Yeah.
16-2, 16-10. That's a
I
big win
didn't
on
I
Mirage.
I didn't think that was actually a surprise. I thought Spirit were definitely better than this. I mean, Aces are better, definitely better than the Spirit side. As
For
much as I
sure.
hate to say that because I absolutely adore the girls that are on this
Yeah.
Spirit side. I think some of the like Moraltis and Jamie and Tinka and she has been in the scene for a while. Like I'm like these are really great players and really nice people as well. And it's just like I hate the fact that they just really couldn't find their feet
Yeah.
in this season, you know?
And you know what, I think a big thing that I say, kind of surprising me on that is like it was a 16-2 on Mirage. When you look at how when Nip played them earlier, they played them on Mirage as 16-14. So
Yeah,
this is where the foreshadowing comes in because the last match of Group A was also the biggest one in determining who in this three-headed horse race wins it out. And if Nip win this, they go perfect.
yeah,
They get the
uh,
spot in LAN. If Big win this, they essentially force they
not
forced
even.
no, wasn't it?
No. NIP just needed 1 map. That's it.
Really?
NIP could have lost the series 2-1, and they would have had the map difference over them.
Wow. Okay.
They would have had a +6,
Yeah.
and Big would have had a +5, and NIP would be in the playoff spot.
Dang.
So NIP didn't even need to win the series.
They just needed a
They just
map,
needed to win a map in the series.
and they did not. It was 16-10 on Vertigo, 16-7 on Overpass. Big 2-0. That puts them
A
in
huge duo.
second place, and it gives Nigma the W because Nigma had beaten Big earlier on in the season.
Yeah,
So
they were tied on map difference, and so they went to the head-to-head.
yeah, so Nigma so that confirms Nigma into the LAN, and that gives Big a spot in the qualifier for the LAN. We go over to Group B now, and Nine Pandas Fearless and Navi Javelins and G2 all kind of fighting. Nine Pandas Fearless and G2 face off, and Nine Pandas win out 16-2, 16-14. At the same time, Navi Javelin, they win as well 16-5, 16-4 against Guild. So I think at that point it was pretty much confirmed that Navi were gonna make it because they were 4-0. I think it was like for sure getting one of the two spots.
Yeah.
And then come into the final week, it is Navi versus Copenhagen Flames. Navi 2-0, they go perfect 5-0 on the season. So they hit qualification, and then Nine Pandas Fearless beat VP Angels, and at the same time, Guild get extra cookies. They beat out
Yeah,
G2 2-1.
that was the shock to me. Now, they didn't finish I don't think they finished above G2
No,
Olia. I
they
think
did not.
G2 Olia finished
G2 Oya
anyway,
finished above them, yeah.
but it was like I definitely had the expectation that G2 were gonna be, um, like, we're gonna take the series versus Guild because I was like, they play if I remember, they played Navi or Nine Pandas. They were like one of the 2 really tight.
Yeah,
And I was like, "Oh, wow." I think it was Nine Pandas they played that series tight. I was like, "Oh, wow, this is actually, uh, a pretty good G2 side for having." And, um, they revealed, like, they just need more time because they formed, like, I think a week or 2 before the season started
yeah.
when they were actually, like, playing s I think it was revealed on Spill the CT, if you don't mind me mentioning the other
Oh
podcast.
no, mention away.
Yeah, absolutely, love it. Good stuff. But, this is a good interview, and I actually think everyone should check it out. But, nonetheless, I think, that's why I was like, "Oh, wow, yeah, they definitely do need a little bit more time to work out the kinks because they should be, on paper, beating this guild side." So
Yeah. I mean, it takes a little bit to switch back from a game as well, as some of
Oh,
those
yeah.
players did. Like, it's going to take time, but you know what? They have time. They worked on it this season, and now they can come back hopefully next season and do really well. I don't know how the qualification process is going to work for EU because we're not used to having this many teams kind of around.
Yeah, yeah.
But they might have booked themselves a spot in next season just because if they keep the top 6 teams, like top 3 from each group, then G2 I think would be considered in that as well. So you keep, those top 3 and then kind of work your way
Yeah,
down.
and you got to remember too, they're going to want brand names in the league, right?
Yeah,
So
for
so
sure.
the expansion of Impact also meant that they could directly invite more teams, and I think that was done because they knew G2 were coming in, Flames are there,
Well, you have to
you
remember
want to have your big
G2
players.
qualified, so like the squad
Oh, you're right,
qualified,
but
G2
you're
qualified.
right.
But somebody like Copenhagen Flames, who you mentioned,
Yeah,
um,
they wanted Copenhagen in there. Obviously, you wanted Astralis, NIP, Big,
yeah,
Nigma, Navi. Like you want those 5 in there. So
they
yeah,
kept the
there's
team
definitely
so
going
they
to be.
wanted to.
Yeah.
So
So
that leaves us with the play-in stage, and this is just one match, of course, because you have the 2 second place teams going off against each other. So it was Big Akipa going up against Nine Pandas Fearless, and a little bit closer. It was there, but not enough. Nine Pandas Fearless win 16-11, 16-10. So they'll be the
yeah,
third team to qualify, along with Navi Javelins and Enigma Galaxy. That's pretty much your set top 3, I think, when it comes to
yeah.
EU, which is a good top 3 to have.
I'm gutted for Zana and Josie because first off, Josie coming over to from Brazil to
Yeah,
uh, they play in Berlin actually. They play in Germany, but
yeah,
the Portuguese side and she's pretty good. She's shown like a lot of what she can offer Big. And I think I'm like, yeah, she's definitely brought a new dimension to Big that they didn't have prior, right? Zana has been playing lights out this tournament. She's been very, very, very good this tournament, right?
yeah.
And for me, I'm looking at it going, man, what's she got to do? You know, like I'm serious. What does she
Yeah.
have to do to get to a land? Because she's finished with the 5th highest HLTV rating of the event, and she played the most maps of anybody in the top 8 in this event at 13. So Elizabeth, oddly enough, is down there in 8th, right? She had a phenomenal series, by the
Yeah.
way. But that's my point. It's like I don't for the event. Here you go for the event, right? A 1.29 rating, a 1.33 impact rating, a 0.87 KPR, which is a very high kills per round,
Yep.
and an 81.3 average ADR. That's across 335 rounds played in this event. Like very, very solid stuff overall, and just cannot seem to find her way back to land. I was like, oh my god, like I don't know. I'm just gutted for Big Akipa because I know they would have loved to have been in Dallas, and I would have loved to see him in Dallas because I've been following some of these players for 4 years,
Yeah.
and it would have been great to see them finally in person at Dallas. But it will be. I mean, it's the same with Nine Pandas. I've been following some of them for 4 years. It'll be nice to see them
For sure.
in Dallas. I do want to make one last quick note about this
Yeah.
series. I don't think it's going to be an issue, and I don't like to speculate. I like to speculate, but I don't like to speculate about the topic I'm about to.
Mm-hmm.
Is I hope there's no hiccups in the visa process. I'm going to knock
Yes.
on wood because obviously it's a Russian
Yes.
side, it's a Russian organization. We don't know if the sanctions are going to carry the same weight and all this other mess that is going to be. So I actually hope that we do see Nine Pandas on land because it's going to be a situation where Big is now the backup team.
Yeah, I was gonna say.
So
It's me.
I'm not the kind of guy that's like obviously I would have rather seen Big make it than Nine Pandas, but I'm not gonna wish ill will that
No,
I
no,
hope
no, no.
you know what I mean? Like I mean absolutely not. But
I
I hope for the play because now you're denying an opportunity the players earned. And I think that's would be the bigger
yeah.
injustice here. You know what I mean? Or
The
injustice here.
the only other thing I can think of that might happen is because it's North American, they might have a team like EG or Detonate on standby, um, to just be like,
Oh,
hey,
please.
listen, no, but like, you know what I'm saying
Not
though.
EG, please.
I
Please don't do that.
I know I know what I'm saying. What
However,
I am saying is they're in NA, which means you don't have to worry so much about the visas.
you're you're correct, but the Big Akipa side also was at Dallas, and so was Josie as a part of
Yes.
MIBR, so they will still have working visas.
Okay, that's good to know.
They
I
should still
thought
have
I thought it
working
was gonna be
visas.
something like short term. You're in for this tournament, and then that's it.
Oh, it
I
might
don't know how
be.
I don't know how
You could
visas
be
work.
right. Yeah, you could be
This
right. But then also they could like
they could also have extended visas to be like, yeah, we're gonna be here next year. So
Yeah, I don't know,
Who
actually. You're
knows?
you're right. The backup's probably gonna be like EG or Detonate. Yeah, you're right, actually.
Something close
'Cause they
by.
don't have to get visas.
Yeah, they don't.
They
Like
just
I
say,
said,
"Come on
the
down.
only person I
You're the
think,
next contestant on The
yeah,
Price is Right."
I think the only person that would have issue with that is Seven Licious on EG. But I think that's just because I don't
Oh,
know if that's
yeah.
because she hasn't left it. I don't know what's happening with that. We assumed that she was going to be there early April because we heard mention of her being there in April, and
Yeah.
then that didn't happen. She played the entire season over in Sweden,
It
late at
it
night
was a
with
visa
ridiculous
issue
ping.
as well that kept her
Was
in
it?
Sweden.
So yeah,
Yes.
there could be issues with that.
Yeah.
Ichi could find a stand-in. It takes like 2 minutes. You hit up somebody in Dallas and you just be like, "Come play," and
Vivid Dark. Vivid
yeah.
Dark. Shout out Vivid Dark, by the way. Great
she's
streamer.
she's in LA. That would not work. But anyways,
She'll need a visa.
yeah, that's
She's
true.
she's
And
going
she's
to
already
Dallas. She's
going. Yeah.
speaking in Dallas. Yeah, come on now. What are you talking about,
We'll get
bro?
Reef. We'll get Reef in there. Bring
Yeah,
Reef in.
or Reef.
Yeah,
There you
bring
go. We
Reef
could do
in.
Reef. Yeah,
It'd be
yeah.
so funny.
Yeah.
So ridiculous.
So, anyway.
Anyways, so that's EU knocked up with a bow.
Yep.
Leave it down to America, South America,
South America, yeah.
and
I did it in the
you did it in the bonus episode. So
yeah, in the bonus episode, which is coming your way because Parks and I be cooking.
yeah, we be cooking.
Yeah.
So yeah, final 2 weeks coming in here then. Have to remember in Group A, Parabellum did exit the season already.
Yes.
So MIBR got a free week there. Furia did end up 2-0ing W7M 16-5, 16-10. Week 6 comes in. Fury get the week off. W7M versus MIBR. It is a 16-3, 16-6. And that is enough to bring the scoreline to Furia 6-0, MIBR 3-3 with a better map differential, I want to say. Round differential or whatever compared to
What
W7M.
over W7M?
Yeah, and I think they also beat them, so
Yeah.
kind of helps.
Oh, MIBR. Yeah.
Yeah.
They split the series. Yeah.
Right, they split the series, but
They split the
MIBR got one
series.
map more overall because it was
Yes.
2-1 on the first time around.
Yes.
So that leaves us into Group B, week 5 and 6, and B4 2-0'd and Endgame. Black Dragons 2-0'd LRV, and that was a close one. Look at that, 19-15 and 22-20.
Yeah, that was a great series.
Wow.
That was an incredible series, actually.
A bit of foreshadowing
That was
on
the
that
one
as well.
that forced Cowday had flown back to France.
Yes.
To play at 3
Yes, I
and they played
remember
this
that.
banger 5-hour series. Yeah.
I remember, yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, there was a huge delay on the mainstream because they were still doing the MIBR game.
We finished our community
Before
cast
they
for
started.
NA
Yeah.
before that game ended.
Yeah.
We rated them in double overtime.
Yeah, I remember that.
that.
It was just crazy.
Yeah.
And then the final week there, B4 versus LRV at 16-1, 16-10. Nothing to write home about. And the 16-1, 19-16 for Black Dragons over Endgame. So that puts B4 6-0, Black Dragons 4-2. Endgame and LRV both end up 1-5. So then comes the play-ins as well, and South America has the same thing as North America. Only 2 teams qualify, so 1A versus 2B, or 2A versus 1B. So Furia going up against Black Dragons.
No.
Yeah, Furia going up against Black
Oh,
Dragons.
yeah.
I'm looking at the button right now.
Yeah, no, you're right. You're right. And this is the big shock. This is why I love Brazilian Counter-Strike.
Oh, for sure.
Here. This is just so first off, they played Nuke for the first one, right? And obviously, if you remember Season 1 Furia, and going back, like Furia had a map winning streak on Nuke. They were something like 36-1 or 36-2 on Nuke, going into or coming out of the Season 1 LAN finals. Like it was something absurd, right?
Yeah.
So they played Nuke. Black Dragons 16-4'd them on Nuke.
It was not light work.
And you gotta remember, look at the highest performer on the Furious side, right? With a 0.94 rating was Gaps, who they had to bring out of retirement last minute because they lost Olga to HSG, right? So if you remember, they made the switch with W7M for Bokor. They give W7 Madi goes to W7M, Bokor comes to Furia, which I still like the change. I still think it's a good change for Furia, believe it or not. Like totally fine. But then Olga decides to leave Furia
Yep.
and signs with HSG, and that kind of left the hole in the team. And Gabs came in to fill it. And honestly, she's played a very good tournament. Like she is, for real, she's been
Yeah.
really good, and she hasn't been a hamper at all to this side. And then this series just, I don't know what happened. I really don't know what happened.
Yeah, so 16-4 on Nuke. Then Black Dragons close it out 16-11 on Mirage. This is the first time that we're not going to see Furia at a LAN for
Yeah.
Impact. And I mean that's huge considering that even, the LAN before Katowice, they didn't make the finals because they ended up having to play Nigma in the semifinals because they didn't win their group. Um, so you can kind of see, we're on a little bit of a downward trend here with
Yeah.
Furia. And
Yeah,
especially
I think
considering they
it's
went 6-0 as well. That's a big thing.
yeah, I think it's which is why I have issues with the format. But I think it's like, how do I put this? I I think it's just a I don't think there's anything wrong with the team. I think it's just a very odd result where they didn't play well.
Yeah.
I think that's what I would put it as. Like I just think, I mean, they've won everything.
Yeah.
And they just didn't win the series that matters, and they didn't look really particularly good. But Gaps, like, I don't want to single her out because, but the point I was going to make is she was the best performing player on the Nuke, and like she had a 1.09, she had a 74.6 ADR, she had a 0.71 KPR, like her cast was 70.1%, like
Yeah.
all solid consistent stats that you would want for your player. Like nothing that's rocking the boat, but nothing that's hampering the team. Like just
Right.
comes in, does the job perfect. And the series was just, it was really odd to see them lose on Nuke because it's like, oh, Fury had that map streak on Nuke. Granted, it was different lineup, and then they come into the Mirage, and it's like this is the other map that you would think is the strongest in the Fury map pool, and it was 16-11, and it's like you've just gotten beat on arguably
Your best
the
maps.
two best maps in your map pool that you're
Yeah.
so legendary on. Like it's a big, big, big shock.
Yeah. So that is Black Dragons coming in. Sorry, I'm taking off my socks. They're coming in
Okay.
for their next their next land on this. I don't know. They were at the first one, weren't they? They were at the first Dallas, but it was a
Yes, but
different lineup.
yes, that lineup is the B4 lineup that we currently have.
That's
Now they didn't have Poppins in that event,
yeah. I was gonna
remember?
say that was the
But
big key difference there.
yeah, but it
Um,
was essentially B4.
yeah. Oh, well, speaking of B4, they were, of course, on the qualifying path as well here, going up against MIBR. 16-14, 16-13. We're going to see Poppins in Dallas.
Yes, 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 yeah. Look, first off, before I get so excited about this team, because I absolutely adore and love this B4 team.
Yeah.
Um, Fair play to MIBR because they played a pretty good series.
Yeah.
Uh, uh, Kiza played very well, I think. And I just think honestly they really played their hearts out. And this MIBR side, I like I like this team. I like to see what this team can do with this current lineup. I don't think they need a roster change. I think they just need to see if they can find something more. Because remember, they did lose a player as well, and I believe Yojina came in to replace them, and I can't remember. Oh, they lost was it Little Z? No, they lost Josie.
Right.
They lost Josie,
Yeah.
and they pick up Yojina, right? And this is after they made a switch for China because they picked up China, who I believe is their in-game leader.
Right.
But yeah, so they have Yojina and China as kind of two newerish players. But look, I think they're playing well. I think they need a little bit more. And part of me is like they need not a JTR, but I think they just need a little bit, maybe something more in the coaching standpoint that can get
Right.
them over the line. But it's fair play to them. However, back to the original point because we are coming up to time. Is which we're going to be way over this
Oh,
episode.
for
Just get
sure.
ready.
We're going to do our best. Do our
Yeah,
best.
and that is B4 is coming back to Dallas, baby. I love it. Junger played great. She played very consistent. She was lights out on Inferno. Julie played out of her mind, though. If you look at some of the rounds she won in this series, she was the big difference maker. I think they had 3 or 4 rounds in a row where she won the clutch. She won like a 1v1 clutch or something like that. And I was like, this girl's insane. And then I think that was on the nuke. I think it was the very first half of nuke as well. I was like, this girl's freaking nuts. So I'm happy. I'm happy because also, first off, I really like Junger, and she's going to be at Dallas, and I think B4 have an opportunity to really shake things up at Dallas. But and I mean that as in like potentially make the final. Like I could see a world where B4 makes the grand final.
Oh, for sure. I mean,
Um,
we've seen that from them before as well, didn't we? I thought they made grand final, or did they lose?
no, they
They
lost to
lost the
Navi.
semifinals to Navi. That's right. Sorry,
Yeah, yeah.
but it was
But
close.
yeah, and this is a team that's very good. And now they got Poppins. So if we get anything remotely close to what Poppins can do, um, at like her peak, we'll look out.
Yeah.
But also we get to see the best jerseys in esports at Dallas, man. Those B4 jerseys are what. It's such a shame they don't sell jerseys, man. Because I'm like, they are the cleanest looking jerseys. But anyway, yeah, before going to Dallas.
Yeah, and that, I mean, that wraps it all up all in a bow. We can finally kind of summarize here all 8 teams. Or sorry, no, we do have one more to go through. It's the qualifier, the Asia
Yes.
qualifier, which
What a
is
mess! What a mess this was.
bless. You know what? As the motivational signs sometimes say, bless this mess. I think we
Bless
all
the admins,
bless the
okay?
admins as well. Yeah.
Yeah, for this one.
Um, I think we can kind of skip everything and just say who won because we kind of know who won. It's not very hard to guess who won.
Uh, Look, okay.
I
Yeah,
mean,
yeah, God.
yeah, HSG won. Like
Yep,
they won. They beat LVG female, sorry, Lin
yep,
Vision Gaming female.
yep.
Um
Who
16
are a good
11,
side, by the way.
16
This is an
7.
LVG side that sent them to the lower bracket in the Goddess
Yes,
Cup
and the Goddess Cup
season.
we
Granted,
yeah.
HG didn't have Olga, but still, the point is they sent them down to the lower bracket,
Yeah.
and
I mean, yeah, this is I mean, yeah, we're going to see
Olga looked
HSG
Olga looked insane, by the way. Just look at
as
the stats.
expected.
Yeah, look at this. She had 137.35 ADR on that second map. 137. And this is after 121 on the first map. Like,
You know what's
it's nuts.
crazy? You know what's crazy about HSG
What?
is how we all just recognize that Ramona or GFI was like far and away one of the better players on that team and everything, and like
Mhm.
then they picked up Olga, who was voted in as one of the top 3 players by HLTV for
Oh,
Furia.
yeah.
They basically just went, oh, so we had one superstar. What if we had two?
Oh, yeah. But the crazy thing about it, too, is obviously, like, GFI is pretty good.
Yeah.
Pretty damn good. Argent is really solid. Like, not
Yes.
like
There's no weak link on this
flashy,
team.
like just consistent. Here's a good 15, 20 kills for you.
Yeah.
Here's a good like clutch or two a game for you. Like here's a good like Argent's really an unsung hero on this team. Like really,
Yeah.
really good player on this team. So I'm 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 I think HSG are gonna come in to Dallas looking better than they did at Katowice.
Oh,
And
for
I'm
sure.
so ready for it. So
Yeah.
ready for it.
I mean, it makes sense why the wild card went to Asia when you look at this HSG side. I just kind of hope that like we get more of that, like more other regions getting the wild card spot. I know you're drinking your water, so you can't reply on,
Yeah,
but
yeah, 100%.
yeah, I understand it though. I understand the whole hype around HSG because it's real. Like we've seen them play up against Asian teams and like they've struggled, and we went maybe Asia's just really strong. Like
Yeah.
because that's we've seen them compared to everybody else on the world stage.
HSC have made 2 semifinals, didn't they? Oh, no, they made a semifinal,
Yeah,
and they almost made a semifinal, right? So it's
yeah,
like one of those things where it's like they already are very competitive on the international stage. Like, this is the top 10 team in the world, and they have so much more firepower now, so much more. So I really I'm glad they made it, but yeah, it's, oh, man, this land's got me hyped.
yeah.
I
So we're gonna recap the 8 teams now coming in, just real quick. Just give the names: Nigma Galaxy, Navi Javelins, Nine Pandas Fearless, XCLG Red, Shimmer, Black Dragons, B4, and HSG. Those are the 8 teams coming in,
Oh yeah.
and there's a lot of good things to look
I
forward to.
I think I think the other thing too, and we'll do a primer for Dallas, but I think that the other thing too is that the number 2 seed from North America looks probably the strongest it's looked since the first season.
Yes, yes,
I
yes,
would
yes,
say that.
yes.
I would say, Saints beat EG. I said that's great. EG were on the downtrend. Saints squeaked by them. Then they had the visa issue. It's like there's
There was
what I mean?
issues.
It was tough. It was
And
really stacked
the
against them,
worst
and
part
they
about
did.
it all was that they lost Scraft, who honestly, like, that's one player that you wish you did
Yeah,
not lose to visa issues because she's had a very good season.
yeah.
So,
So, and it's like you just feel bad, right? You
yeah,
feel really bad, and it's like there's some players on that team that really played their hearts out. Paula, Olya, you know what I mean? I still really think Olya's a great player. Um, but it's like then EG went to the land before that, which
season 2
was the season
finals.
2 finals.
Yeah.
No, everybody knew they were gonna get clapped except me, and then they because I thought they were decent still,
No.
and they got absolutely hammered.
Yeah.
And yeah, so it's like we haven't really had a strong number 2, but this team looks pretty good. I think there's an opportunity maybe that Shimmer. I don't know if they can finish outside of 7th, 8th, but at least
Make
be
it
more
competitive.
competitive than we've seen the number 2 seed from North America be recently.
Yeah. So then that's all the. Oh, we do have the Fast Cup. Hold on. Sakura Cup. Let me pull that up real quick.
I don't think we need to mention that really.
Uh, I can mention who won it. We'll mention who won it.
Yeah,
Who won it?
that's about
Who won?
uh,
Hold on.
who
I'm
did win it.
going through the bracket. Ha ha ha
Right.
XD. It's a Latvian
Yeah.
side.
Yes, I
Gaba,
still haven't
Danu,
got.
Spike, Joanna, and
Oh, yes,
Manjin.
this is what I wanted to mention. So, thank you. So, VP Angels made the finals, right?
Yep.
Lost to the side. Oddly enough, that Yayo side lost to VP Angel 16-13. It was a
Yep.
best of 1 semifinal, right?
Yep.
Only the final was best of 3. Notice the names on the winning side.
Yeah. Looks a lot like Astralis.
It is Spike, Joanna, and Monoskine.
Yeah.
So, who else do you notice on that side?
Danu and Gaba.
Which one of those 2 am I about to point out to you?
Probably Danu.
Yes, correct. So I don't know what Dan is up to. I haven't heard anything. I'm not starting a rumor mill, but I'm just saying, uh, I would love to see Dana back in the scene. I said when she got dropped that she was really one of the more consistent performing, like improving players. I think her HLTV rating improved like steady over time.
Right.
She was really in more of those series for Navi Javelins. If Astralis wanted to make a change, and I think after the way the season's gone, you should think about making a change if you're in the Astralis side. That's not a bad pickup.
No.
That's a pretty good free
That's a
agent that's
good.
available for you. So you know what, looking at Astralis going, you know what? This side could do a little bit more damage. I don't know about make land territory, but they could probably do a little bit more damage with Danu in the side. So
Yeah.
I would like to see more of it. That's all I'm gonna say. I want to see more of Danu playing with this side. So we'll see. We'll see. We'll see if they do. I mean, they won the Fast Cup. I'd like to see them get into a Cash Cup. I think that would be nice. They get into a Cash Cup and then they maybe try to play, as a Cash Cup with them. If they do that though, that's when I'll start to think, yeah, they're probably gonna announce something like
Yeah.
that.
That's
You
when
know what I
something
mean?
kind of
But
becomes official.
yeah, yeah. But we'll see. It's something to keep an eye on for sure.
All right. That leaves us with kind of general news. We do have a little bit of a thing at the end here as well. We'll start with just general news, and then we'll get to the big one because we've mentioned it a few times now, but we'll make sure it kind of comes through.
Okay.
First, people leaving things. Cincy and Catalyst both set to leave Team Factor Ruby. Catalyst is still there for now. She's just kind of
Right.
subbing in for them because their open season just started, and they don't
Yeah.
have a sub
Yeah.
yet on that. Mama Alien, who was already basically subbing in for Cincy already, is sticking around for now. I haven't
I
seen any
I
big
think
changes at this point.
specifically it was like school related, wasn't it?
Yeah,
I
so
think it was
originally it was school related. And then other stuff came up, and like I think her horse died as well, which
Oh,
sucks.
that's a
Loss,
shame. I didn't know that.
big
My
losses come across.
condolences.
Yeah.
Yeah, my condolences.
So a lot of stuff happened all at once, and that kind of left no time for CS. Unfortunately for her. At the same time, as we mentioned with Detonate losing their match against Shimmer, pretty much the lineup is gone. Chowds is for sure retiring. Andrea has told me she's also looking to retire as well. And I know you have your thing on this. Well, let me just
Listen,
finish off here. Kianetta is also looking. She's gonna go full time in her job, so like she's taking a step back as well. And I believe JoJo is traveling pretty soon. Like she's kind of this
JoJo is
adventure.
Sapphire, by the way.
Yeah, Sapphire. Sorry, is going to be heading off. I believe for a trip back to China. I'm not sure on that one though, but I don't think
Yes.
she's coming
Yeah.
back to play.
Okay. All that's fair.
Yeah,
I'm not gonna. I'm not. And I'm not. I'm not. We talked before the pod, and I'm not gonna go as hard in.
yeah.
I have an issue with the way the announcement that she was leaving Detonate happened.
This is Chowds you're
Um,
talking about, by the way. We'll
yes, I
clarify
don't
that.
think you should have a twit longer that's pre-typed before you go into a series that could potentially get you at LAN. I don't think it's a good look. I don't like it. I think it's. I just think it's. It's just not right.
Yeah,
And it's one of those things where look, you may not want to like. I don't begrudge why she's leaving, why she's retiring. I totally understand it. I have no issues with it. Right.
yeah.
After we talked, I just have an issue with the timing,
Yes,
and I just think it's generally not good, and I just think that it makes me ask the question because I look at CS this way. I look at CS as being 20%, 25% mechanical, okay, 15% tactical, 60% mental,
yeah,
right? And because it's sport, and sport is all. It's so much about the mental game, right? Like that's why you have sports psychologists. That's why the whole industry spawned because psychology can affect everything, right? So if you have something pre-typed prior to going into that series, it means you've premeditated the decision. And if that's you're not I'm not saying she's actively thinking about it in the series, but it's one of those things where the knowledge that you're not staying in this scene it could play a factor subconsciously in performance.
right.
Now, I didn't think she played bad. I'm not saying that, but I'm just saying that it's a very weird mental state to be in subconsciously than being committed. So it's the age old adage, right? Are you interested or are you committed, right? And I'm
Yeah,
not saying Chelsea is interested more than committed. I'm just saying I don't think it's a good look. I think I just think it should have been handled better. You don't have to. I mean, you don't have to wait a long time. You can announce it Friday. You know what I mean? Would have been good.
you can announce it like an hour afterwards, for example, instead of
Oh,
immediately
I wouldn't even
afterwards.
say the same day, mate.
No?
I would have said give it a day at least.
Hmm.
But you know what I mean? Like, what's gonna happen between now and Friday? Like, you know what I mean? What's gonna happen between now and Thursday? What's gonna happen between now and Wednesday?
Right.
Do you know what I mean? I mean, she tweeted it prior to. Remember, there's a 2.5 minute
Yeah.
delay on the stream, right? And a 90-second delay with GoTV. So the delay is 4 minutes, and she tweeted it before the series ended on the stream.
Yeah.
So she was done playing, and the stream wasn't over yet. Like they were still playing 14 or I think it was like 15-12 at that rate.
Yeah.
And I'm
Something like
like,
that.
that is not right. That's what's not right. So I overall though, I think I get why she's leaving. I get why she's frustrated in the twit longer as well.
Yeah.
Which I now have to oddly admit that I've read a twit longer despite making fun of them so many times. But
I was waiting for that. I was waiting for that.
God darn it, Parks.
Yeah.
But it is. I understand why, and I understand Kiyonetta with her work commitments. She's expressed as much on the show prior,
Yeah.
and I think Sapphire, that was always the case as well, because I think originally she was going to go away for work, and now it's coming back. Now she's taking a trip to China, and it's like I totally get that. You know what I mean? Like absolutely. Um, so I don't begrudge anybody for leaving. I just have an issue with the timing of it. And I really feel bad for Detonate because they put a lot of effort into this side,
Yeah.
and it's just kind of fallen apart on them.
Which sucks, and it happens. And I know we've mentioned the volatility of NA before, and it's a continued topic. It's not going to change anytime soon, as long as things keep happening to people, and it doesn't seem to be going anywhere. So that's unfortunately where we kind of have to continue here, with the sad news that CLG and by extension CLG Red did fold
Ugh,
a week ago. Yeah, it's not been a great time.
I
And
I I cannot stand what happened to them.
the unfortunate, yeah. So the for anybody that does not know, Madison Square Gardens, MSG, the company that owned the CLG brand, in a surprising move,
Uh,
sold. Don't scoff like that. Nobody saw it coming. Um,
oh no, I'm not saying it. Of course, it was a surprising move. I just it's I hate how it was done.
yes. So CLG as a brand was sold to the NRG, to the company that owns NRG, which I think is just NRG at this point.
Yeah.
Um, the only thing they are keeping, the whole reason they wanted CLG was for their League of Legends spot. So they
Yes.
kept that what they call a vertical. They kept all this the League of Legends stuff. I was about to say the
Yes.
LOL stuff, which is super
Yeah.
dumb. Nobody calls it that. Everything else, as a result, was let go. Everybody else was laid off essentially, except for anybody kind of working directly within the League of Legends kind of sphere. So that includes all the CLG Red teams. That includes all the CLG Red staff. That includes
FGC,
FGC.
everything.
That includes everything else that was
Yeah.
not League of Legends
Player
is
managers, yeah,
gone.
everybody.
So
Go ahead. You
no,
continue on.
I there's at this point. So at this point, the CLG Red ladies are now going just by Red, I think, or Red Rising, Rising Red,
Rise with Red.
Rise with Red. They are
Yeah.
free agents at this point. They've said they're
Pick
sticking
'em up.
together. They said they're sticking together. At least for Dallas. At
Mhm.
that point, it kind of they've left it up to whatever to happen. I know they said they're talking to
Yeah.
a few orgs. A few of them have also expressed being ready to play in mixed teams, which we know a few of
Yeah.
them are, such as BBN, who's done it in the past. I mean, we
Yep.
saw it happen with a few of the players that left. I think it was Emmy. I might be wrong. That played for Virio Pro for a bit
Yeah,
after
she
she left
subbed in
CLG
for
Red.
Vero
She subbed
Pro,
in for
yeah.
Virio Pro, and they won the majority of those games, and then struggled afterwards,
And
which was
she
absolutely
20
hilarious to
bombs the
me.
majority of those
Yeah,
games too.
it's such an interesting dynamic for her. Um,
Shows you how great a player she really
yeah,
was, by the
yeah,
way. She
it
was a
does.
phenomenal CS player.
So yeah, and again, the other thing you have to think of is Kaude is stuck in France right now, basically.
Yeah.
I think she's able to come for the land because of her work visa, but
Yes.
it was tied to CLG Red, so issues are going to start to be raised, and she might have to
So
just go back to playing EU.
BB expressed this on her stream. Actually, she said she has 60 days to find an organization. So it's the same thing for Kaude. She's going to be good in the country. She
Yeah,
can come back into the country at any moment in time. Um, for 60 days since they let go. Now it has been day 60 is I think the Tuesday or Wednesday after Dallas. So they have to get picked up before the Dallas land because if they don't, then the team will absolutely fall apart because BBon won't be allowed to stay here and neither will Calday.
yeah,
So that's a problem. And
yeah.
and I my the thing that expressed to you is that I first off hate this because like you said, energy were only interested in the league thing. They had to take the whole league structure too, by the way. They couldn't take the main team and not the academy team because league requires you to have one. So they had to take the entire League of Legends structure and they just absolutely screwed over everybody else. So
Yeah, the
I
whole thing I
me and
have.
MSG group, it's on site, brother. It's on site now. But all I'm saying is, so screw them. And
Yeah.
the New York Knicks suck anyway. But aside from that, go Sixers. It is it is it's sad to see this happen. It really is. And it's happened at economically a horrid time in esports when we're having an esports winter. My concern is that this is a history that extends beyond the CLG days. CLG have been in Counter Strike with this team for 8 years, seven and a half, really, actually.
Yeah.
And there is a long, storied history with 6 world titles under the CLG brand, right? But the iteration of the team extends well beyond that to the 1.6 days. when it was Girls Got Gamer, and it was Potter, and it was Allie, and it was, and they had that episode on the True Game, the MTV True Life, when they were professional
Oh,
gamers trying
really?
to make it.
Wow.
Yeah. That was back in like '05 or '06, and then
Wow.
all the history they have with SK Gaming ladies, because SK could never win ESWC. The men's team lost so many ESWC finals, and I remember that the story that Potter told, and he said the head of the SK, I can't remember what it was, called him up and said, I just want you to win me an ESWC," and they won him 3.
Wow.
You know what I mean?
There you
So it's
go.
like there is a history in the iteration of the squad. CLG goes beyond CLG Red.
Yeah.
You have to understand, like, I think people need to understand that, right? And that's a little bit lost, because those players that created this from the ground up 20 years ago are no longer in the scene. They're all talent, or they're retired,
Yeah,
whatever,
they're
right?
doing other things now.
Correct. They're not playing. But um if they don't get signed before Dallas, or they take roles as a mixed team, we lose that. The story ends there. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It continues with the individual players, but the story of this team and
As a
this
core,
collective
yeah.
group coming up as a and creating this force of nature that they was, with the fan base that they did, in an environment that's male dominated, it ends. And I don't want to see that. I want to see it continue on for a long time and continue to be kind of the gold standard, whether they've won or not, because they haven't obviously won any of the impact lands. They have been the gold standard for what women's esports can be,
Yeah.
and I want that to continue. So that's why I want them to get picked up. I think that's when we heard the news, I did listen to what you recorded solo. I liked it, I loved it. I, this is what I was saving for, and that was the
For
point that I
sure.
wanted to make, is that
Yeah.
there is a legacy here that's now at risk, because some company in New York City can't be bothered with esports anymore, so they take a minority stake in NRG and let somebody else run it, and we'll just come in here for the money.
Yep.
And it's like, no, you know what I mean? You have to Esports is built off what people create with their own, you know, hands. It always has been that way. That's why when it economically there are hard times, you get esports winners. We had it with CGS. We're having it again in 23. And I think that's why esports will never truly die, is because there's always going to be people on the ground that are willing to build this with their own hands, and blood, sweat, and tears. But I think that that hard work is at risk of being lost, and I don't want to lose that.
Yeah.
That's what I wanted to say.
It's like you said, it's tragic. And I mean, it, I didn't even know all the history that you just kind of laid out there. You've known a lot more than me on that, and that
Yeah,
is
and I've only been watching Counter Strike in 2015, so I came
yeah.
in with the CLG days, and
Yeah.
but I mean, you go back and watch some of those games still, thankfully, and
Oh,
it's amazing.
100%.
So
And like I mean, you mentioned some names. I mean, Sapphire was on there. She's a big observer now for Valorant. I mean, I
yeah,
think she runs her own talent agency for that as well.
yeah,
She's at least a part
she
of one.
observed majors,
Yes.
CS majors. Yeah.
Potter, the head of EG's Valorant
Yep.
division now, they just
Yep.
got a win finally. Shout out to Com, who is my
Yeah.
boy. Um, I mean, I various players doing other things. Was Harvey, who was huge for CLG Red for a very long
Yeah.
time, and is still doing stuff with the girls. I mean,
Yeah.
I know, and Sticky can attest to this, as can Pib. I don't know if they're getting paid or not for the stuff they do. I'm suspecting they don't anymore, but they're still
No,
doing
not
the
anymore.
streams on on the players' Twitch channels for their matches, and like it's still
Yeah.
the same stream. It's still the
Yep.
same stuff there. They got rid of some of the little, like, they got rid of a few of the things, but like Miss Harvey's still doing the production for that. So like
Yep.
they're still involved in some capacity on that, and I
Yeah.
mean that's a huge thing, and
And
especially for this legacy to continue.
yeah, and shout out to what was the name of the Valorant group? Moisten or something like
Moist
that, or
Esports, yeah, Moist
Moist
Moguls,
Esports.
Moist
Shout
Ogle.
out to them, because they picked the roster up. They said, "We'll pay him everything because they're going to Game Changers." Like,
Yeah,
so that's and this is something that esports. I don't know that esports that esports organization doesn't have the money that CLG did, or Liquid has, or Complexity had. And they said, we're going to help come and step in. This is horrible what's happened. We're going to step in to help. We can't help you
yeah,
permanently, but we're going to give you a little bit more time, because maybe that's all you need is to have some, to buy you some time. So fair play to them. I know this is
yeah,
a CS podcast, but you got to game recognize game and respect where it's due. Fair play to them for stepping in. You know what I mean?
yeah. And I mean the whole, I follow Mirna on her Twitter, like the whole adventure they went through of like they were playing in the CLG building, like that's
Yeah,
where their stuff was, and then at some point the
yeah.
alarms just started going off because their stuff wasn't working anymore, and so they had to grab their stuff, and I think they ended up going to another esports center's like station. I don't remember if it was like Liquid or somebody else, but they like
I can't remember.
went to another team's center basically and were like, listen, we don't have anywhere to play. And this whole time Moist Moguls, who is like Ludwig and Moist Critical, those are the two
Mhm,
content creators that
mhm.
had made this org together. um they were just trying to do their best to help them out. And I mean, like you said, props to them for doing that. It sucks
Yeah,
that where it went, but like there's something to be said about content creator orgs in Valorant now becoming a thing. I mean, Disguised Toast has his own, and like it's
yeah,
all
and
memes, but they make viewership come to them, and that's a big
yeah,
thing. Was the viewership was getting eyes on this and seeing what happened to CLG. That's huge.
yeah, and that's why I say fair play, because I mean it's a content creator org that's making the right decisions in esports. It's almost like FaZe Clan has something to learn from them,
Oh
but
my
that's besides
god.
the point. Uh,
Oh, buddy. Oh,
oh,
that's a
shots!
good
I
one.
don't
That's
care.
a good
Shots
one.
fired.
Yeah, they're not gonna listen.
Nonetheless, shall we? Anything more on the CLG Red, or shall we move on to the last little bit of news we got here?
I think we've said all we can on this point. I mean,
Yes.
it's still a situation. Like we said, we have less than
Win
60,
win Dallas, please.
less than
That would be the retribution
win
story, by the way.
Dallas, less than
Just win
60
Dallas.
days,
Like,
less than 60 days to get this all worked out. I
yep,
think that's a huge thing.
yeah.
Um,
It's been 11, I think,
it's
already. I have a counter going. I
You
have a
have a
timer
counter
going. Hold
going,
on.
yeah. So
I do, yeah.
keep a check on that, I guess.
So you want to
Um,
know how?
how many days have
I
passed
better
already?
not. Yeah, I better not. No, I was gonna tell a story, but like it's gonna tout me as like awful. So like desperate. It's been 11 days. Today is day
Okay,
11.
today is day 11,
So
so tomorrow will be day 12. When the podcast comes out, it'll be day 12.
yeah,
Um,
we got one piece of news left.
one piece of news:
One little tiny piece of news.
Liga Femenina is back.
Yes, it's back. I'm so excited. You have no idea. First off, I'm excited because we've got uh look, Impact with the Impact scene, um, when they were qualifying for the season, right? I think overall there were like 9 teams that signed up for between the two qualifiers, and or I think it was 5 teams between the two qualifiers, right? And 4 teams got in, and they had the 4 invited teams, right? So it was like, oh, there's only 9 teams in the scene. It looked like, right? But I mean, you got to remember too, Gamers Club has played down there more often. So we got
Yeah,
14. We got 14 teams. We actually had a 15th, but they didn't confirm, and
mm,
times expired.
right.
So uh, they still might actually be able to confirm because the games haven't started. But anyway, look, point is we've got 14 teams. Groups have been drawn, 2 groups of 4 and 2 groups of 3, right?
Yeah.
Uh, we can run through the groups at the next episode because we're going to cover
Yes.
the events. But it starts tomorrow, Tuesday, the 18th, at I believe 6 p.m. is the first game. Oh no, it just got pushed actually. So the first game, no, I was literally it just got pushed. So the first game is going to be the 19th right now.
Right.
There's still a few that haven't been scheduled. The main piece of news is your boy is going to be commentating it.
Yeah, this is, I mean, the perfect way to go into what will you be watching over the next 2 weeks. Um,
Yes.
I won't be watching Benny cast it, but Benny will be watching it because he's got to cast it. So
Yeah,
that works
exactly.
out in its own way. Um, yeah, well, so you're doing the casting on that. Are you watching
Yep.
anything else over the next 2 weeks? Because I mean, there's a few cash cups still rolling around. Open seasons have started for teams.
Honestly, I was going to watch the ESCA seasons this year, but with everything going on and having picked up Liga Femenina, I probably won't. I just probably won't have the time for it, in all
Yeah.
honesty, unfortunately. Because remember, this event, the group stage of this event is going to finish on the 28th,
Right.
and then the playoffs are the entire following week. So this is already going to be 3 weeks in the ESCA. I mean, it's going to take up half the season right off the
Yeah.
bat.
For sure.
So for me, what am I watching? It's going to be this, and that's pretty much it. And I'm going to be watching plane ticket prices for Dallas. That's about it.
Yeah, I mean, keep your eye on those.
Oh yes.
I bought my tickets months ago, and I still I still have alerts going off showing them when the prices go super low, and then they jump back up when everybody's
Yep.
buying in. Delta
Yep.
finally released their Delta release when their flights were, and I was like, oh, I already bought American
Yeah, they
Airlines because they
just
were
did. I
there.
was gonna have to fly American,
I was
or yeah,
like,
American.
I should have
Eh,
waited.
I was gonna have to
Anyways,
fly American out of Harrisburg, and I'm like,
oof.
I really don't want. I want to fly Delta, right? But
Yeah,
I did want to fly out of Harrisburg because it's an easier port to get in and out of. It's not as
right.
busy and nuts as Philly. And Delta released their schedule for Harrisburg, and I'm like, oh my god, they go. It's so much easier
Yeah.
because American wanted me to have a 50-minute layover, and I'm like trying to get from one gate to the other in 50 minutes seems
No,
like it
it's
could
not
be,
happening.
yeah. But now it's like, oh, here's a 2-hour layover, which I'm like, that's
That's more
doable.
reasonable. That's more
That's not
reasonable.
bad.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So it's not terrible.
I remember when I
And
was traveling to Ireland, we had a 13-hour layover in Washington. So we left the airport and went and walked and did all the stuff in Washington, D.C. And I'm like, okay, it's been enough time. We should probably go back now. And then got on the flight and just went to bed because it was a
yeah,
late
I don't
flight.
blame you. I don't
Yeah.
blame you at all. But yeah, I'll be flying to Dallas in a month and a half, so it's gonna be good.
We'll all be
What are you
flying to
watching,
Dallas.
Parks? What are you watching?
My own sanity tick
Liga
away.
Femenina.
No.
Liga Femenina.
I honestly, I will probably be casting every single, like the majority of the nights that I'm not otherwise busy with other stuff. I'm watching
Right.
hockey. I mean, that's a big thing that's
Oh
coming up. The
yeah, you got the
playoffs.
NHL
We
playoffs.
got the NHL
You gotta
playoffs.
watch the Leafs get
We
first
got the
rounded.
NHL playoffs. We got the OHL playoffs that are currently on. I've gone to 3 of the 4 games for round 2 for the Kitchener Rangers, and they absolutely blew the Knights out of the water. So shout out to what's his name for scoring the last minute and giving me a free set of chicken nuggets from Chick-fil-A because that's a deal they have.
I have no idea what he's talking about, Chief.
Good, perfect.
I've got the Champions League semifinal.
Yeah,
I'm gonna be at the Champions League
amazing.
semifinal. That's
Otherwise,
awesome.
yeah, and I mean, I'm gonna be. Otherwise, yeah, I'm gonna be paying attention to people's ESEA seasons, but not nearly as much as I usually do, because
Yeah.
I'm hopefully having more casting coming up. Now that
Yeah.
I've moved,
Yeah.
something that I haven't mentioned yet because this is the first episode with me being moved.
Yeah. Congratulations, by the way.
Thank you so much. I mean, I haven't done anything with the walls. You can
Well,
still
you
see in the
moved.
box.
You freaking moved.
In
I
the
mean, that's
box over
enough.
there is the soundproofing for my old room. I need to
It's
put
all
it up
good.
eventually.
It's all good.
Although you know what, I'm living with my grandma and my brother, and my grandma's like, I don't hear you at night because I still game, right? You know, past 10 o'clock when she goes to bed, and she's like, I
Yeah.
can't hear you. It doesn't matter to me, whatever. So
Good.
shout out to her. And yeah, I mean, big change for me, but I'm loving it so far, and it means I can cast 10 p.m. games now. Finally, I can finally go over that and feel comfortable. The next thing is just being able to stay awake during them because I've been going to bed a little bit earlier because I get up earlier now for work. So my whole life has changed in a very positive way, but a very unproductive way in some ways. So, but yeah, that's everything for me. I'm watching Open. I'm paying attention to the teams as much as possible until Dallas. Cash Cups,
Yeah.
Dallas. We'll go from there.
Yeah, pretty much. So,
Pretty much.
anyway, look. That's it for Parks and I.
Yeah.
Parks, you got one more thing you got to add.
Do I?
Yeah.
Oh,
He's gonna play
I'm doing that. I'm
LCA.
doing that. I'm doing that after.
Oh
Don't
yeah.
worry. Well,
Yeah.
I'm doing that in solo later. Don't worry.
Yeah.
You will have
Well,
another
that's
message.
it from me.
Yeah.
That's it for Best Impact. This is episode 15. Thank you so much for watching. We will see you in another fortnight's time where we try to squeeze it in an hour and always go over. Until then, take care and have a good night.
Bye. Hello, everybody. I hope you enjoyed that episode. A little bit of an ad read here for you from the LCA broadcasting team, the ones who do help us with all of our graphics and everything like that. So it's something that some of you might have been anticipating. LCA 10-mans, you'll remember how Carbon X 10-mans used to be Chris, or otherwise known as Werewolf. He's actually an owner in LCA, and he has decided he's going to bring back some 10-mans. Small prize pool, of course. It is an prize coming in for season 0, which is April 16th to April 30th, is an ice cooled AK. You can check out the link in the description, as well as the pinned tweet on the LCA Broadcasting Twitter. You can see all the information there. I've heard that they're having a very good time with that, and this is just season 0. There's plans for many more to go ahead. So get in there while you can, have some fun, and remember, it's all there just to have a good time with friends. Nothing to be super competitive about. We're just here to have a good time. Thank you very much. I hope you have a good night, and maybe I'll see you in the game.